What is going on, comic fam? It's your boy, the Bearded Comic Bro, and I am joined by comic creators Greg and Fake. Welcome to the show.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
I'm excited. You both are involved in the Eisner nominated comic, Santos Sisters. That's pretty stinking sweet. So, let's hop into that right off the bat. Like, how was that kind of getting the news about that nomination?
Yeah, well, it was crazy. It's crazy. You know, we're super psyched to be nominated, and especially since we're kind of the only indie book in the list. So it's kind of like like David versus Goliath type of deal. So it's real cool.
Right. And that's got to be, like you said, indie comics. Santos Sisters is something that, I've been following along. So when I got the email about, setting up something, I'm like, absolutely, without a doubt, want to have you all on. I always like to ask, though, before we get too much into the weeds of your series, how did you get into comics? Have you always had a love for comics growing up, or did this kind of come later in life for you both?
Well, I guess Greg was more of a comics dude growing up. So kind of get a little bit of backstory. Me and Greg went to high school together a long, long time ago, and we've always done miscellaneous weird art projects and stuff like that. And maybe about 2010 or so, somewhere in that range, we went to like the Chicago Comic-Con and kind of just walked around ourselves. And we're like, maybe we could do something or whatever. And a year or so later, we didn't really jump into doing comics, but we did like these paintings. And we went to sell our paintings in Artist Alley, and kind of grew from there. After a year or so later, we started picking up like coloring jobs. So our first foray into the comics business was doing like coloring work for like Devil's Due. So we colored Mercy Sparks and a bunch of different other books for Devil's Due. And then maybe 10 years later is when we started doing work on Santos Sisters.
Yeah. So where did this concept then before even that comes about, what's the elevator pitch for Santos Sisters? If someone's listening or watching this and they haven't gotten to experience Santos Sisters yet, what's your elevator pitch for it?
The basic elevator pitch is like Betty and Veronica on steroids. That's what the quick and easy way to go about it. But the book is drawn kind of like in the style of Archie, but it's more, and it's a superhero book, but it's more like an episode of Seinfeld. So it's more based on the characters and just their everyday lives, as opposed to the main story is them fighting the bad guys. I mean, that's going on, but that's not like the main driver of the stories.
Right. So Greg, is your art style always lean towards that style? Because Fig said it's very similar to the Archie style, or did you adjust for this comic when you all had the idea?
I would say it was an adjustment, but I've always had a kind of a cartoony kind of style, kind of cutesy anyway.
Yeah.
Now in my teen years, I would have loved to do like big muscle dude books. I was reading like X-Force and all those Image books and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we were like early teens when all that Image boom happened and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just never been able to really draw like that. I don't know, it's probably like watching a lot of Looney Tunes cartoons growing up and stuff like that. I had a Preston Blair Art of Animation book when I was really young. The Archie was kind of a natural transition for me. Like, it made sense when I started going there, and it blended seamlessly, like how I worked.
So how did this kind of idea then, adjust? It obviously sounds like you had a little cartoon style before, but you had to adjust a little bit. So how'd the concept and idea of Santos Sisters kind of come about to say, like, this is the story we want to tell, or the stories we want to tell, and kind of like, this is a style?
Well, we've always had a bunch of different characters and things that even go back from years ago. So like the characters that we're using in the Santos Sisters, some of them have been kicked around for 10, 20, 30, a long time. Like the Nature Ninjas are from when I was in sixth grade. And like the Scope was like another one from like Greg in high school and stuff like that. So a bunch of the miscellaneous characters have been with us for a long time. In the years leading up to the Santos Sisters, we were working on a book called The McMahons, which was like a buddy comedy with two green aliens that's kind of based in the same world and everything like that. But no one really was interested in like two ugly green aliens and stuff like that. And it was easier to kind of transition like the stories to like chicks and stuff like that. It seemed to be more of a more of a thing that people were more apt to read. So it's just kind of like we kind of took that same idea and just kind of morphed it into these other storylines.
Yeah. And you mentioned Seinfeld is such a great, kind of reference point for what this is. Cause there's like these little mini stories and, just of like things that happen, right? Of like, oh my goodness, like that's a real life situation. And, the superhero aspect kind of is a side piece that kind of it drives the story, but the stories are different. So what's a process for you all of like trying to figure out like the creative process of what stories are the ones that you guys like, this is something we want to tell, and what characters can we utilize to tell this story? Or does it kind of start with the characters first?
Well, yeah, I mean well, I kind of write with that kind of sitcom process. Like,
Yeah.
you have your group of characters. So like Amber and Alana, who are the main characters, they have their own personalities and so forth. And you've got the other two main characters like Dirk, which is one of the boyfriends, and Todd, which is kind of the other boyfriend and stuff like that. And you've got each one has their own distinct like little things that they're different about them and stuff like that. So like you take like a situation where it's they're going shopping or doing whatever they're doing, and you can basically you just take whatever their personality traits is and kind of wrap that into that whatever is going to happen. So it's just kind of like playing like with action figures. I think Greg says it pretty good, like what comic book making is. It's just taking your characters, putting them in those certain situations, and just kind of playing with them until you get the right outcomes.
Yeah, ideas kind of just jump out at you as you start.
And every situation is everything we write about is a true story. Every single story.
Sure. I love, but I do love that like you have different characters, right? Like Boozy B. You mentioned Nature Ninja Warriors already. It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you kind of mentioned it, but these are characters that you've grown up creating through, for most part, it sounds like from childhood to kind of teens and stuff and on. And you're like, now let's just make a big sandbox for all our creations that we had when we were growing up and kind of creating to play in the same world. Is that kind of how like the catalyst for this?
Pretty much exactly. Greg has had like sketchbooks that he's been filling for his own whole entire life. He's always been like a sketchbook guy, and would draw and draw and draw. And like a lot of the characters were reoccurring characters. And we've just been like, I think the main one in the book was the main character that he was always drawing was he had a bunch called Sadhu and like these other guys that were in cyberspace. And one of the characters was Madame Sosostris. And she was just a reoccurring thing that he drew all the time, but there was no story, there was no background. It was just like, like goofy little, they would talk and stuff like that, but there was no real storyline to go with anything. And I thought, it's a cool character, but we didn't have anything. And I kind of adapted the Amber and Alana to kind of go off that, like the same kind of look, but it was like, like a way to like get two characters that I could, relate to what he was already doing and kind of mix things together.
Yep.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. So what's a creative process for your team of kind of coming up with ideas? Like Greg, are you that involved with the writing aspect at all, like the story collaboration, or is it kind of fate coming at you and saying, here's the story we want to go, bring your awesome artwork to the story?
For the most part, I leave it to Fake to come up with the stories. He'll bounce ideas off of me. I'll be in the brainstorming process occasionally, but yeah, for the most part, like just some brainstorming here and there. But for the most part, I get the script and I just go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on the same wavelength when it comes to like the ideas and stuff. Like I know what he wouldn't want to do and things like that. Since there's some lines I won't cross and things like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of trust. Like after working on stuff, we share a lot of the same sense of humor and sensibilities and and such.
And when things are kind of done and kind of filled out, like there might be an extra panel and Greg will fill in words or text bubbles for like things that are like kind of absent and things like that. We also work with Mark a lot, who's not here with us, Mark Kopranaroff. He's at karate practice tonight, so he couldn't make it. But he will like, sometimes I'll leave like a space, for like a joke, and he'll come in and write the joke for us and things like that. Well, we kind of leave layups or like for other people when we know like, that's a good spot that we can feel that he would have a good joke for and things like that. So we kind of work as a team. I'll send the scripts to him. He'll read things over. He'll kind of make comments for, if and in regards to like, different ideas and stuff like that. But we're, for the most part, a lot of the stories and things like that, we'll have ideas, and they'll take like a year or so to kind of come into place. Since we don't move like at a huge, like a crazy fast pace, we have time for like the ideas to kind of like really marinate and things like that. So some of the stories will, take a year or two to actually, come together.
One of the things I love too about this series is Todd. I feel like Todd's always in a different job, always just like, come on, Todd. So like, that's also what I appreciate. Like you have like, it seems like you have created these characters too that can tell long story jokes, and you can have the stories fit whatever you want with these characters, because it's really about the situations that you put them in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've all got a little bit of Todd in us, I think.
Yes. Do you both have favorite characters that you like to write and draw of all the plethora, like, whether it's the Nature Ninja Warriors or, Lana and Amber or Boozy Bee, or like, is there characters that you're like, ooh, this is who I love to draw? And then I'll go with you, Fake, and who's your favorite one to write for?
Who's your favorite one to write for?
Well, I like the ensemble cast. So I like being able to play with a bunch of different ideas. So I don't feel like I just have to like focus on one character. Like I feel like the way we do things is I can pretty much do anything. Like in this next issue, we've got like just like a story based on we had one character that was just kind of a throwaway character for one story that was in the first issue called Gary Antsman, which is he got covered in ants, and it was and hilarity ensued. But it was just supposed to be like a one-time story, and he was going to be done with. But this is going to be the third time we've used him in this issue now, so it's going to be it's fun to be able to kind of just do whatever you want and have that kind of ability. We don't have like any sort of editor telling us to watch what we're doing, or we want more Amber, or anything like that. We can kind of go with whatever. Who do you like to draw?
Well, in the latest issue, we did have the Nature Ninjas make another appearance. We're on issue 9 now, and they were in the first issue, and we got good feedback on them. But I had a lot of fun drawing them this time, and I was saying to Fake like I think maybe we need more cartoon animals in the book, because they just kind of flew right off the pencils.
Yeah, they look great.
I think it was that Preston Blair book that I was talking about earlier. All the cute animals and stuff like that. They're a lot of fun to draw.
Yeah, I mean, they looked great in issue 9. So speaking of which, issue 9 comes out, I think, July 30th.
Correct.
So
yeah.
If you're listening to this and you haven't checked out Santos Sisters, do yourself a favor and fix that, or at least pick up on July 30th. One of the things I wanted to ask though is, when you had this idea for this comic of, bringing Santos Sisters to the, general public, and for us to get it, how was the process for you guys to, get this book produced and made?
Well, I guess we had an idea of what we wanted to put together. Yeah. And we had a very, very specific way we wanted it to look. So a lot of the process is like it's kind of complicated, I guess. Well, you go a little bit.
Well, like the newsprint thing. Our book is printed on newsprint. So we really wanted that. So I spent a lot of time like looking for a place that would print newsprint, but you can't just type in comic printer newsprint.
Right.
All the people that pay for Google Ads get to the top, and they're printed on they're like using Xerox copiers to print on newsprint, which is just recycled paper, but we wanted the real 4-color web press stuff. I didn't know a lot. I knew about 4-color presses and everything, but I didn't know the terminology. So with a little bit of research, I was able to find out, like, okay, it's a web press that you want, which is those big roller machines that you see in the movies where the paper's running like this. So that was the first step, and I was able to find places that could print web press 4-color prints. You know, all your local city weekly newspapers and stuff, they're all doing that.
Yep.
The problem was the cover. So anyway, long story short, I'm looking around. I got to find a place that'll do both the covers, which is glossy paper, and that requires like heat press, you know, something like that. So I had all my keywords set, and I typed them all in. And lo and behold, I found a printer that was just 45 minutes away.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was able to go over there and meet with the guys, look at all the presses and stuff, and talk to them about what I wanted. They're like, "Yeah, we know what the comic book looks like. We can do that." And yeah, we you know, so the first comic we self-published, and yeah, we've been with the same printer ever since.
Yeah. So issue 1 was self-published, and then I know you guys had a hardcover come out for the first 5 issues, right? With Fantagraphics, is that correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then are you not still self-publishing all the issues now? Are you?
It's kind of we've got a distribution deal with Floating World, so
okay.
You can get anyone can order it through like Lunar or Diamond and things like that. But we still do all the back and forth with the press and everything ourselves.
Okay, so it is. So it basically is. It seems like it still is very much self-published, indie published from you guys. You know, with some assist.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that really does allow you all to work at your own speed, work at your own pace, create what you want to create, tell the stories that you want to tell, because it seems like you are your editors, your everything.
Yeah.
That's the one good thing with the deal that we have with Floating World is that they don't have, like, since we're more or less funding everything, that we don't have we don't have to rely on their schedule. So like when we're ready to put out a book, we put out a book.
Yeah. So are you guys doing a lot of tours of like Comic-Cons at all with this series, or is it kind of sporadic when you can?
Well, we hit we've got a bunch of stuff coming up, but when the hardcover came out, we did a pretty decent sized tour. So we started up in like Seattle and worked our way down the West Coast and went all the way to Los Angeles and Arizona and Vegas and back to Los Angeles and to Chicago. So we've been all over the place with the book, and we've had a very, very positive response. Like we weren't really sure when we set everything up that, how it was going to go, but it was, like places like we went to, every shop we went to, there was a turnout. So it was a very, very nice surprise, even in a place like we went to like a small town,
San Luis Obispo.
It was like kind of in just between, like, it was the only stop between like Portland and like
Oakland, it was between LA and Tempe.
LA and Tempe, was it?
Yeah.
Or Oakland and Tempe, or Oakland and LA, right? I don't know. It was somewhere weird, but it was like the only stop in between somewhere. And like there was still a couple people who showed up. We had someone show up with like they had made these like handmade Amber and Alana bracelets that they gave us and things like that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we've got for issue 9 that's coming up, we're actually doing. We're going to be at the San Diego Comic-Con so we'll have issues there. So we're going to be signing at the Fantagraphic booth on Thursday and Friday. And then on the release day, July 30th, we'll be at Vault of Midnight in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then the day before that, we'll be at Kroger Comics in South Haven, Michigan. So we'll be hitting those 2 places.
Is that the grocery store?
Like the grocery store, we think. We're not exactly sure. But yeah, my daughter's doing like a summer camp in Michigan, so we're doing like we're kind of multitasking.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. So obviously, the Eisner nomination is a big deal, but and going on the tour to promote the book. When was there ever a time though that you're like, man, we got something, like you knew you had something that was good on your hands, like gold that like other people, like obviously you liked what you're creating, otherwise you wouldn't create it. But when did you kind of know that like you're like, no, we have an audience for this, that and they're really connecting with what we're creating?
I, I, I don't know. I think kind of early on, I started to feel like, because when you're working with a writer artist duo, you can kind of separate yourself a little bit from it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Uh, but when we had the first issue done, I Xeroxed a copy of it and I brought it to the C2E2 comic convention. Um, and I just brought it over to some friends and some other pros and stuff, and I got some good feedback. Especially one friend of mine, like he read the whole thing. It's like 56 pages, but it's light reading and stuff. And, he made some kind of comment like, this is kind of something that's missing in comics because it's light reading. It's just good humor. It's just something that take your mind off your troubles, and it's not too deep. You read it and you put it down and you go about your day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think feedback like that kind of let us know that we're filling a niche
Yeah.
that's kind of been missing for a little while.
Yeah. What about you, Fake? Did you have a kind of a realization where you're like, "Ooh, we got something on our hands"?
Well, yeah, I think that the original idea when we put out the first issue, we were just going to like put it out and not do any press and just kind of see what happened. I think that was kind of the weird idea that we had. We were just kind of like kind of give it some time for people to find it or whatever. And people found it somehow. I don't know exactly what we did or who did what. I think Mark was pretty critical in that. He like brought it to like
some indie shows. He brought it to some indie shows, and we got a pretty good shout out from Nate McDonough, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like the indie scene glommed onto us pretty quickly, which was
and from some of those things, we were able to sell a bunch of I don't know if I think stores, actually some stores contacted us and we were calling stores and things like that. So like so like a bunch of the smaller shops were picking up like 5-10 books and things like that, and then like they would sell through them and then reorder and so forth. So that first printing, we sold through, I don't know, it was like maybe 2,000 books. We sold through it pretty quickly, so it was kind of a nice feeling. So it was, and at that point we kind of felt like, we should probably keep going at this point, because the issue 2 was like an idea, but we weren't like convinced we were going to do it at the start.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you're kind of like, all right, well, there's an audience. Let's kind of go with that then.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love that. So, I want to respect your guys' both your time. American Nature Presents also is something that's coming out here later this summer. Is that correct?
Correct. So we've had 2 issues come out already, and the 3rd issue we're working on right now. And I've got a pretty good feeling about this one too. This is a pretty good issue, and we're expanding. So the original idea is kind of like it's not like an anthology exactly, but we've got a couple different comics in it from different creators. Like this issue is going to have Greg's got a story in it with me. We've got a story by E.S. Glenn. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he's top notch as well. And then like a couple other people, but we've got on the cover,
Farrell Dalrymple, Robot Todd.
So it's going to be with the Santos Sisters on the cover, and there's going to be Mark's doing an interview with him, and we're expanding. We were at 32-page book, and then this next issue is going to be 48 pages. So it's we've got reviews, we've got articles. We're expanding like the column section in this issue, so we'll have more people doing columns. So kind of like the maximum rock and roll type feel, where people just different scenesters from different parts of the scenes, giving their just kind of thoughts on comics or something related to comics. We're not really giving anybody any sort of direction, but like they can kind of talk about whatever they feel like talking about and stuff like that. Kind of a soapbox for the different parts of the scene. So this issue's looking really, really well. I'm really excited about it, actually.
Nice. Well, is there anything else about, American Nature or Santos Sisters that we haven't touched on yet that you're like, we need to mention this real quick, or we kind of hit it all?
I think we hit pretty much everything. I think SantosSisters.com is kind of the website if people need to look for it. The hardcover is available at Fantagraphics.com. The floppies are available at the Floating World or your local comic shop. We're big into telling comic shops that or people to put the book on their pull list. That helps us quite a bit if people are ordering from the shops. We don't do a lot of direct mail order personally because I live in Mexico. We're in Mexico right now. Greg's with me at the moment, but he's going back. He's going to move to Milwaukee next month. But like as of right now, like it's impossible for us to do like mail fulfillment and things like that. So if people can really get the book on their pull list and tell their friends to put the book on the pull list, and that hopefully the shops will start ordering a couple extra copies for the shop and stuff like that. That would be the biggest help for us, I think. Being a small book, just getting it out there, having it on the shelves makes a big difference.
Yeah. And you said you both will be in San Diego, obviously for the awards, but promoting and signing the newest issue, right? Issue 9?
Yep, issue 9. They'll have hardcovers, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll be walking around a little bit. We don't have a table or anything, but we're going to do a couple hours over at the Fantagraphics booth. But it's our first time at this show. We're expecting a little bit of a mess. I'm not sure.
It's a bucket list for me, so I still want to do it sometime. I've done a lot of Comic Cons, but that still is one I have not yet hit. So,
us neither.
We'll let you know.
So yeah, let me know. I hear it's a decent con. I hear it's pretty big. So, but where can people? Where can people follow along with you both and what you have going on so they can stay up to date? What's the best way for people if they want to get into this world of Santos Sisters?
Probably Instagram. At the moment, we got this SantosSisters.com. Is it SantosSisters.com? Is that right?
The website is Santos Sisters. Yeah, but Instagram is Santos Sisters Comic or Greg and Fake.
Yeah,
just Google Greg and Fake. That's pretty easy.
Okay.
Yeah. We're working on a TikTok. We haven't figured that.
I can't get it on my phone. I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to get it to work.
Greg, thank you both so much just for taking some time to talk about comics with me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, same, man.
Yeah,
we enjoy this.
Much. Yeah, appreciate it.
So, gang, if you haven't, like we said, July 30th, Santos Sisters issue 9 comes out. If you're like, I haven't read any, don't worry. You can pick up issue 9 and enjoy the book. Like, that's how I think it's created and designed to do. So put it on your pull list. Tell your shop you want it. And good luck with the Eisners. So,
well, man,
thanks so much.
We'll do our best.
With that being said, hopefully y'all can find some time to curl up, grab a book, and nerd out. Peace.